Welcome back on the AM show. Without further ado, let me bring you Samuel Kojo, who is in a shade of a shirt that has a semblance to mine this morning.
Well, that's it. Okay, well, sort of.
Sort of, eh?
Yeah.
You have a bit of, is it lime or lemon green, and lots of other shades in there.
Maybe you may be a special man. Men are colorblind, really.
Colorblind?
Yesterday.
I pay particular attention to color.
Oh, okay. Well, not all of. That's what I'm saying, that you may be a
Beige
special man.
to turquoise, from forest green.
If you give me turquoise, what you're talking, I won't even know this is turquoise. What I know is I know black, I know white, I know red, I know yellow, I know orange, green. That's all. Give me anything, or blue, black. Give me anything.
So you're basically saying primary colors
Exactly,
and a few more.
If you do anything else, I won't know. Now, yesterday, I knew that I was better than someone.
Oh,
I was going to someone's house, one of our colleagues.
Right.
And then he said,
"Oh, one of our colleagues."
Yes. And he says,
that's a shade you've thrown here. I'll have to find out who those person
is. And he says, "Oh, that's my house, the one with the white roof." So I was looking for gray roof. I was looking for gray, and I said, "Matter."
There was no gray here.
This is black, so sort of you can say blue, black, but gray the other. This is not gray. And so I was like, oh, then I'm better than someone. So let me keep mine like that. Yeah.
But wait, that's interesting though. A navy blue shade for a house?
Yeah. I mean, what I saw, blue, black, sort of, but it's not gray. I'm even closer than what he gave me. So I'm better, you know.
Yeah, but Fanasa,
exactly.
The week has ended. It may not end fully because some may come over the weekend. You look slightly a tad...
Like tired, huh?
Yes.
Because it hasn't been easy.
Is my guess correct?
Which one?
That you're a tad tired?
I don't even understand the tad tired thing. So say a little. If you say tad tired, Charlie.
I am in my element this morning.
Oh well, Charlie, I'm an agric student too. Agric, what we learn is this is cucumber, this is cabbage, this is how to till the land, how to ensure you are.
But your brace will not take
this thing about tata. I only did.
It reminds me of
basic.
When I was reading the news, I said mayor.
I was like, what is this mayor thing?
And my producer was teasing me about saying mayor, though he knows it's the right thing.
Yeah, how many people know it's mayor? You're talking about mayor. Hey, Charlie. English, Nana. A lot of us who did agric will not understand what you said, but
don't use your agric as a camouflage.
Oh, please. I did agric for 4 years in the University of Cape Coast. I was growing cabbages.
I will leave this issue here. I'll not pursue it any further. But let's get into the papers this morning. I have a stack of three: the Daily Graphic, the final newspaper, the Chronicle. What do you have?
I have the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, the Ghanaian Publisher, and the Custodian.
All right, let's start with you.
Okay. Now from the Ghanaian Times, Ghana assembles armored vehicles locally for safe transportation of bulk money. This is good news. Now, after the park sitting, New Times Corporation debtors urged to pay to enable it function effectively. Lack of indigenous business in key sectors cause of slow economic growth, according to MacDan. Alleged killings of 9 civilians by military at Boko, bodies handed over to families for burial. And let me do a bit on the assembling of armored vehicles in Ghana. It's such a good news. Now, Ghana has begun assembling cash in transit armored vehicles to make the transportation of bulk money by banks in the country robust and secure against robbery attacks. Currently, the first 4 vehicles fitted by Dehok Kinaki Manufacturing Company Limited, that's Dickmark, at its armored vehicle assembling plant at Bema Camp in Accra, are ready to be deployed for use. Dickmark is a joint venture company between the Defense Industries Holding Company Limited, DEHOC, and private commercial entity of the Ghana Armed Forces and Kinaki Manufacturing Company Limited. This came to light on Wednesday when President Akufo-Addo inspected the vehicles as part of inauguration and sword cutting and handover activities ahead of the 2022 end-of-year get-together of the Ghana Armed Forces. This is absolutely a good news for us to be assembling such type of vehicles in Ghana. It's a step in the right direction. and we must commend the Ghanaian forces and the company for what they've done. Now, the executive chairman of Magdan Group of Companies, Daniel Macaulay, has attributed Ghana's slow economic growth to the lack of indigenous business controlling key sectors of the economy. To this end, he has challenged businesses in the country to re-strategize to be able to control certain sectors of the economy and set the path for small and medium-scale enterprises to deliver services and products and become the engine of growth. So that's like a call to action. One, to the state itself, and to, you know, Ghanaian-owned companies as well. That can we allow Ghanaian-owned companies to participate actively in some of the major sectors like mining? Can we have Ghanaians owning large-scale mining companies like Gold?
When you talk mining in this country, it's those global entities,
Exactly.
the MNCs. I mean, they'll always have a presence. If you look at Shell, Exxon, you notice that they've made outrageous profits on oil within the last, year or so. 40 plus billion, 50 plus billion. These are record, you know, profits that they are making. How are we ensuring that our local entities can also compete? And mind you, there's a danger inherent in how we do business in our country. If you look at the technological giants or the communications entities here, if they were to pull out, which, I mean, they probably wouldn't do that because of profits. But if something were to happen and they were to up and leave, where would our economy be? Where do we go from there? Are we just going to take over? I mean, what are the dynamics? Same in the mining sector. We have all the resources.
It has happened to one of the companies, isn't it? Is it Airtel Tigo?
Yes, we had to take
over and then
take that over.
So,
and there have been rumors about others, you know, down the line and all of that. The point being that we don't have enough. In fact, it's woefully inadequate in terms of many sectors of our economy. Many sectors of our economy are not in Ghanaian hands. They are in foreign hands. And should anything happen, some of these people can easily up and leave. There are so many sectors where I can point to, and I have friends who are Syrian, who are Lebanese and all of that, who are Chinese. I'm not denigrating anybody, but I'm saying that there's so much of our economy in the hands of foreigners that if something were to happen today, we'll be burnt from all angles.
We can even in the key sectors: mining, oil and gas, telecommunication, and even
agriculture.
And
even agriculture.
The major export companies, even in agric, you can say that.
How many of them are Ghanaian?
Exactly. So I was going to say that even in agric, we have some portion of Ghanaians in there, but for mining, it's zero. For the oil and gas, the major players,
small scale, of course.
Exactly.
Unless you're talking small scale.
Small scale, it's the contribution from there is okay, but we're talking about those who really control the sector, the major mining companies like Goldfields, like Anglo Gold. How many of such companies are Ghanaians? That's why we need to
Which is why I'm saying at least for the small scale ones.
Oh yes,
we have quite a number.
As for that, yes.
I think Asanko Gold, and there are quite a number of
for the small scale, we have a lot
like that. But
scale.
But when it comes to the big
ones, yes, because they are the guys who can say, okay, we're no longer going to do it, and then you see that you are in hot water because you need the revenue from that side as well. So there has to be a deliberate plan to get locals to be in that sector, you know, so that at least it's not only left to the foreigners alone. You have local companies that can also be called key players. Such that if the foreign companies decide to say, okay, today we are not comfortable with your local conditions or whatever, we're leaving, you know that you have the right expertise and the right resources to take over and do that. If we don't do that, and we're always, you know, banking our hopes on foreign companies, look, that's what
countries and even entities, that is what they do. So you come into our country, but we're going to have a large local contingent, and they'll be learning on the job, so that should anything happen, they take over. That usually isn't our case.
We have a law.
Swallow everything, hook, line, and sinker, and we are left at the mercy of these entities.
We have a law in the oil and gas sector. It's called the local, the Petroleum Localization Act, or so, local content. Right. Where when you as a foreign company you are coming in, there's a quota of your employees. Yes, that should be Ghanaians, and then there should be what they call the skill transfer, such that according to is it 5 or 10 years, the skill that is being performed by the foreigner can be handled by the local person, such that we feed off the number of foreign expertise and replace them with local expertise. Question is, how effective is the implementation? Are we overseeing the effective implementation of that, or what's happening? So it's about time we sort of pay attention to some of these areas. It's good Magdan is bringing that up. We have to base on that to start talking about these critical things. How are we ensuring that locals are taking advantage or getting into some critical, spaces within some of our major sectors?
I'm also beginning to wonder, just to cap it off as we move forward, Nigeria, the Delta area and all of that. I don't know whether we can't categorize Nigeria as suffering from Dutch disease, where oil becomes a bit of a curse and has so many ripple effects. I look at us, and since 2010, we've been doing this on and off, 10 fields, this and that. And I ask myself, really, if we sat down, and I feel we should have done this in 2020, 10 years afterwards, what have been the pros, the cons, the costs, the benefits
of the sector?
I don't know.
The only Ghanaian, maybe just to close it, the only Ghanaian in there is the guy who has, there's a Ghanaian who Springfield, that guy was able to identify some oil in a certain field, and he's now looking for investors to come into it. So probably he's the only Ghanaian who is likely to become
private business.
Exactly, to become a major player in the oil and gas sector. We have to pray that he gets the right investors to come in and start working in that field as well. Yeah.
Well, let's get into the daily graphic now. MDA's old graphic, a whopping 14 million Ghana cedis. That's according to the managing director. Joseph Sierra Japon's soldiers block inaugurated at 37 Hospital. I'll not go to that because yesterday all the papers were, it was a wash in all the papers, and we did extensive analysis of that. Vice President honors service person for dedication to Wager Leprosarium, Upper Manyakrobo constituency with untapped potential. Let's take a quick look at that, starting with the banner headline. Ministries, departments, and agencies owe the Graphic Communications Group Limited 14 million Ghana cedis. The managing director of the company, Atuafo, has indicated. He said the GCGL had taken an initiative on the instruction of its board of directors to write to the Minister of Finance to enable the MDAs to defray their indebtedness to the state-owned autonomous media house. He said the company had been following up on the issue and expressed the hope that by the end of next month, quote, we'll get a better hand around the matter. We're working through the state interests and governance authority and also the Ministry of Information to get a certain clarity on that. They are autonomous to some extent, but they are state-owned. And here we are. It's interesting because just this morning we're reading a story about Netco and, same.
Yeah.
You can go to so many of our outfits, the VRA, Gridco, owed a lot, so it underperforms. Tor, and we see what Tor has become.
Yeah.
I don't know why we have this cycle in this country, though. Why? And sometimes, though, why do we wait till debts become quite an overhang? I don't get it.
And these debts, we have to emphasize that are being...
And some of these, just to add, some of these may have been even before the tenure of this current management.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And emphasis that some of these debts, majority of them are owned by the state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like what's happening in UDS. State University owes the Netco. These guys, MMDCs. As for private people, will pay as you use, isn't it?
Yeah.
But for the state to pay for services rendered to it, it becomes a problem. If you talk of VRA and all of those debts they are owed are by the state.
I think there was a time when we had information that a lot of these state agencies owed the ECG for electricity, including the Ministry of Finance.
Exactly. How can
the Ministry of Finance,
the ministry that sanctions payment, say owe ECG for services that you've been provided with long ago? Why? So I think that the state itself should now decide to say, for me to have my organs running so well, my agencies running so well, I need to ensure that I pay for services rendered.
Right.
This thing that we see that business thrive when friends and family pay for
the
services rendered. It must be the same principle in the state-run corporations, such that government will see that the corporations will run effectively and efficiently when I pay for services rendered. Because the monies are there. Why aren't we able to pay?
Well,
don't they budget for them? I mean, money is released for those. Why are they owing?
There's even more. So the managing director also cited the government's textbook project, in which the GCGL took part as a printer and delivered the books ahead of schedule, saying the company was yet to be paid for work done. So you get slapped from all ends, and somehow you must still do what you do, put out your paper, and still satisfy your readers, still maintain, if not improve on your quality with a hobbled, purse, basically.
It's serious. I think we have to change from that attitude where we all stated because it's our own, so no, let's gloss over them and move on. It doesn't help.
Let's take a quick look at the international front. French forces seize shipment of weapons. There's also Biden's revamp of Democratic Party primary faces final vote, and Peru's Congress fails to agree on holding early elections. There's also Ukraine-EU membership being rebuffed. But Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has honored a female national service person, Donna Elikplim Agbeshi, for her dedicated service to the Weja Leprosarium, where she did her service and took care of the cured lepers. Dr. Bawumia, who is a life patron of the Cured Lepers Aid Committee, presented a citation of recognition to Ms. Agbeshi, I beg your pardon, at the commemoration of this year's World Leprosy Day at the Weja Leprosarium in Accra. And pictured there, Father Andrew Campbell. And the Vice President has shown some interest in this. In fact, there have been lots of events to do with the lepers that he's been at. I remember when Father Campbell had a book to launch, partly based to raise funds and all of that for the leprosarium. He was there as well. It's been quite a while, but I led a team there from church. This must have been sometime around 2010 or 11, thereabouts. To them, and it's really good that we reach out to.
Yeah. So it's good that the Vice
call them marginalized in society because of the reactions, misconceptions we often have about them, even when they are cured.
Yeah.
Even when they are cured.
I remember in 2010, 11, I did a documentary on the Cape Coast lepers. I think that was my first major documentary, and anytime I listen to that, I'm like, oh, wow. And look, if you see them, they are fun to be with.
Oh, yeah, they are.
But our misconception of can we be like them, but it's not how do you call it, infectious? Yeah. That's not how it's
I mean, there are stages of infection, and at a point they are cured, and they can't transmit anything to you.
So those are the leprosariums. I'm not sure are the kind of people you expect to transfer the thing to you. So let's get close. Let us make them feel part of the community,
It's not as though we should make them feel they are a part of us.
But no.
They are part of us.
That is just seeing them be. But do we make them feel so? We don't. We keep them in a certain corner, and then what? We don't go there. We don't. We should. Some of them. I mean, when I did that documentary in Cape Coast, some of them have been there. Their families have never come to them, apart from the time they brought them there.
True.
Why?
True.
So,
good question. Constituency Watch in the middle spread of the paper. I'll not get into it, but it focuses on Upper Manyakrobo this time. Okay. And I love this bit that the Daily Graphic is doing. From time to time, it's with Haruna Yusuf Wumpany, and he highlights these constituencies. Okay. And you'll see lots of constituencies with huge potential, yet,
nothing.
Like you saw in Bodia, on the way to Asankragwa and others. Chaotic scenes.
Yeah.
On the back page of the paper, Geodrill builds home economics block for Tamasco. That's it for the Daily Graphic.
Okay, now the Daily Guide, Ghana to get War College. 12 grabbed for carjacking and murder. Apreku joins NPP race. Manager caged over musician's brother's death. Robbers kill, you say robbers, eh? What's the right way to pronounce it?
Robbers.
Okay. Robbers kill 3 at Goat Shore.
English is not so phonetic compared to other languages like French and Spanish. That's why you can say rough, and yet you say cough.
Okay, all right then. The English teacher. Let me share with you details of the carjacking thing because I think it's heavy. Now, in a major breakthrough, police arrested 12 suspected members of a carjacking gang involved in a series of robberies and murders across 3 regions. The suspects are Prince Opuni, Kwabna Chei Bafo, Jeffrey Jumo alias Jeff, Clifford Opoku alias Spider, Samuel Adom, William Ansa, Bernard Edujemfi, Anthony Tewia alias Wizzy, Andrew Kwame Usu, Musa Sule, Yawa Champon, and Charles Lutherford. The police, in a statement signed by the Director of Public Affairs, ACP Grace Ansa Akrofi, said the gangsters operated in the Greater Accra, Ashanti, and Eastern regions during one of the carjacking operations at Brofiedru near Ahenema Kokobin in the Ashanti region. Suspect Jeffrey Jomo shot and killed one of his victims. According to investigations into the syndicate activities, the statement indicated. And look, if you see the number of cars that these guys have taken from people, Ben, just look at that. Just you know, a number of the vehicles they've
look at those.
I mean,
wow,
Charlie.
I see a Lexus in there. I see a Ford in there.
You know, the new version of Toyota, a Pathfinder. Oh man, jeez.
We have to be careful of
the
way things are.
I mean, if you're a young person and you see someone drive a certain car, you don't need to admire it so much such that even when you don't have the means to get it, you want to use every means just to own one or to live a life that someone is living. Stay in your lane. Your time will come. Everyone has his time, you know.
If you make greed your creed, it will nail you. That's the whole bit.
Okay, all right then. Let me end with that, Ben.
The final newspaper, no Ghana card bears the name Reverend Victor Kusi Boateng in our database. That's according to the NIA boss, Professor Ken Atefua. But the Member of Parliament for North Tong has still taken up the matter, saying, in fact, that what the NIA is saying corroborates his story. GAF denies killing 7 innocent people in Boku. It's a story we brought to you this morning in the news. Vote for a candidate Ghanaians will prefer. Alan Tremanting says so. But I'd like to focus on page 2.
Okay.
Hannah Adu holds a master's degree in economics. She quit as sales manager of an insurance company to become a poultry farmer in Mankesim. So growing up in a farming home, Hannah Adu defies all odds to venture into agribusiness to support her education and life. The young, ambitious lady took up this career 8 years ago and has since employed other women and young people on her poultry farm.
Oh, good.
As the founder and chief executive officer of HA Farms based in Mankesim in the Central Region, she produces a range of nutritious and reasonably priced food items including eggs, poultry, snails, catfish, vegetables, and food crops. As she told this paper that she worked to produce these protein to help her neighborhood and the nation as a whole, while also keeping the health of the nation in mind. In the last 5 years, Hannah has employed 5 persons, comprising 3 females and 2 males. I am looking at the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
I'm looking at not being bogged down by economics. I'm an economist or whatever. I read economics. So I want to stay in that setting. Office, you know, white collar job and all of that. She's got her hands dirty, but by doing so, she has created jobs. Now, imagine, Hannah has created 5 jobs, and who knows what the spin-off job effects could be. If all of us were, not everyone will be entrepreneurial, but if many more young people were, can you imagine the number of jobs we would create? How much that would reduce unemployment and underemployment. So I just felt I would highlight
it's a good thing.
Her story, especially as the poultry industry in Ghana is bleeding badly. Badly.
It's good, and it's a good example for a lot of our graduates who are always saying that there are no jobs. When I look on the street and I'm like, if I don't have a job, I'm sure I will be selling iced water in traffic. I won't feel shy.
I mean, the thing is, if you're not going to be able to do anything, so to speak, if there are no opportunities, what you want are not available.
Create one.
And if you will go hungry, and if you may be forced to steal or something, at least something is better than nothing.
Yeah. So look, this lady said, well, I'm an insurance person, but maybe I'm not comfortable. I don't feel what I'm doing. You know, sometimes you work in an environment and you feel that there's more to what you want to do than what you're doing.
Just love the tag, sales manager. Sales manager with
and then you're just nothing. There. Leave and create something, and don't be afraid. Sometimes people get scared of failure, And that's why,
But
and that's why we
always
don't
come
try.
with some fear.
Yes.
But overcoming the fear is what makes.
So my
best
point
leaders
is that you don't have to fear failing. Like some people say, fail forward.
Yeah.
When you fail, there are lessons in there. You pick them, learn from them, and then you try to, better yourself at the next attempt. So in everything, look, people fail. So the people we celebrate today, they failed woefully at the beginning, at a point in their lives.
Some of them, yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, the Apple founder, what's his name? Steve Jobs. I mean, look, they went through difficult periods just to break through. I read a story where Indom lost $1 million in a day. What would that do to you? You may say, I won't try again. But no, they tried and today they are where they are. So don't be scared at all. This lady is not afraid of the challenges that will come her way. She started and today she's better off, isn't it? She's better off than when she started on the first day.
That's the
and
whole point.
She'll be better off the next year, the next 5 years.
It also reminds me of Ghana's mushroom queen. I've forgotten her name, but she also started in a similar way with just a few CDs, mushrooms. And today, what she does with mushrooms, and if you see her outfit,
huge.
Start small. The Chronicle, West Hills Mall murder, deceased was running away from police, court told, and a Blackwire has failed to nail us. That's according to the NIA. Okay. Alan Cash is our own, says Techiman Traditional Council, and that's the Chronicle newspaper. Okay. We have to go. What is the last? Custodian.
Farouk opens emergency and trauma center at Yendi Hospital. That's the MP for Yendi, Farouk Aliu Mahama. He's built an emergency and trauma center at the hospital, and it was commissioned this week. 300-bed housing facility named after Jospon Boss commissioned. NIA rubbishes a Blackwest fraud claim, says no record of Reverend Kusi Boateng in its database. MPP battles over early or late Congress. Yesterday, they couldn't reach an agreement. So that those are the stories in the custodian here. The publisher says NIA counters are Blackwest claims. Meet Francis Adainimo, Techiman Traditional Council welcomes Alan. Read the Court of Arbitration ruling that rejected case against Ghana. PAC warns officials against backdating receipt. So that's stories on the front page of the publisher. I'm sure you want to know what I'll be talking about this morning. Yeah. Ghana in the intensive care unit, ICU. Hey. The farce of our leadership and why we must do something radical about it. That's what I'll be talking about. Okay. But today is the 4th of February, actually tomorrow, and so we're doing this in advance. It's your birthday. Happy birthday to Samuel Intim, a.k.a. Papayao of Alajo Paper House. It's from your aunt, Baby Ya, from your sister, Awo, and the entire Intim family. We wish you the best. May God bless you, and may all your wishes be granted by the Lord. We love you. That's the message to you, Samuel Intim, a.k.a. Papayao. Ben, this is for you. Says, good morning, Kojo. Tell Benjamin I really love the energy and dedication he's brought onto the morning show. He reads the news, sitting from 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. That's a great service. Does he really make time to serve his wife at dawn anyway? Laugh out loud. The segment he's brought in is so fantastic. I monitor him every morning before leaving for work. More grace and strength from God, I ask for him. The other question, I will repeat it, but I'll ask you for details. Back door. Whether you get time for Madame. Tell him to get me a wife. On that note, we take a bit of a breather. We'll return with sports. Do stay.